Copenhagen Wolves, they had a very good early game. They were doing well in their lanes, and of course, dealing with Fizz in those pre-level 6 was actually very impressive. But the moment he picked up a couple of kills, and the moment that Young Bucks teleport with that Malphite was able to zone both Ezreal and Shen, they could do nothing in that team fight, and unfortunately, it all fell to pieces for them.
Yeah, so what are we thinking then? Picks and bans, because they got Shen and Twisted Fate there. That's the holy combo that you can get. You know, your MMOs, you have the holy trinity of your tank and your warrior going in there with the healer. That was kind of the equivalent of a MOBA. Is what it is there. If you've never played it, I'm sure everybody else, every old MMO player is like, yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Well,
apart from this guy's a COD 4 man. So
I'm an FPS, yeah, FPS history. But in this particular setup, the reason that works so well, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, Samurai and Jeanse actually set that up. They made it happen because they allowed all of those picks to go through, and they pretty much said to the Wolves, look, go for it. We're going to leave these open. They managed to pick up a win yesterday with that same combo, and their decision was, look, we're going to give Fizz to Extinct. He's going to 30-0-0 as far as Masteries are concerned, all in you, and just delete you and eat you once we get to the fights.
Delete you and eat you.
Correct. It was Chum the Waters. It was the killer whale that killed the Wolves. I mean, if it can eat dolphins and things, it can eat wolves, right?
It's the classic dream of being chased by sharks on the land.
Yeah, pretty much. Land sharks.
Land sharks.
They're terrifying things.
Yeah, they're real, apparently.
Yeah, they are.
They exist in
regardless
on the Summoner's Rift. Anyway, let's put it that way.
Regardless, in this particular matchup, it's the third game. Now we've seen 2 blue side victories from both of the teams, and we've seen 2 very different pick and ban strategies. So we'll see whether or not we're going to see any differences in this particular setup.
Well, they clearly didn't fear the Shen of Nigod Bro, but Elise, Malphite, and Singed have been banned out. So maybe they're going to let it through again there, because they just felt they had that under control.
So Elise has been banned out in all 3 of the games so far. They do not want to give that to Cotnex because he went godlike yesterday against with him in the jungle. And it was such a good performance from the Samurai and Jeanse, taking out a Nexus. The name came to me eventually, and they just don't want to deal with that this time around.
So Zed does go banned. Doesn't go banned. Does get banned.
It has been a very long weekend.
English is tricky.
Zed being banned out once again retains the 100% pick or ban ratio within the course of the tournament, and in this series as well. 3 games for 3 ban has not been let through.
If only English was my first language, I'd be much better at it.
It probably would be. Probably would be. So Shen banned out. It has left Twisted Fate. I think Copenhagen Wolves may be trying to make a ploy for it, making a play to pick it up. We'll see whether or not Samurai in Jeanse will let that through.
So Shen's taken away. Twisted Fate. Will it be the ban from Samurai?
Zac.
They've let it through twice now, so they're clearly not worried about Twisted Fate because they know how to counter it now.
Zac would be the important one, I think, for me, because Samurai and Jeanse have banned that against the Copenhagen Wolves in both of their previous games, as well as Jarvan being a pretty hotly contested pick. In actual fact, they're going to surprise us and take out the Orianna. So this has let Jarvan slip through, this has let Zac slip through, and this has let Twisted Fate. And these are picks that
I think Svenskerin's going to go straight for that Jarvan. He's going to be like, I want it, I want it, I want it. So Twisted Fate, you failed on it last game.
if not, maybe Zac. If not, maybe Zac. And the reason I say it's only because of the banning strategy here from Samurai and Jeanse. They have removed it in both of the previous games. So I think this is what the talking is all about.
Of course, that does mean that the fact that if they don't go for Jarvan, then obviously Samurai and Jeanse are going to go straight for it and Twisted Fate.
Yeah. And it's a combo that we've seen them using yesterday as well. They had the Jarvan Shen top lane there, Twisted Fate in the middle, and it was a combo that just decimated a Nexus. So we know that they can play them.
I recall Extinct playing Twisted Fate a number of times to great success in the past, in the days of Curse EU, and this time it is going to be Jarvan locked in, so Svenskeren does win out the fight for the champions. This does mean that surely Zac will get selected.
If not Zac, see, I'm not too sure now about Zac for Samurai and Jeanse, because it's slipped through a couple of times, even yesterday during their games, and they've been banning it, targeting at the Wolves. So it is a possibility, and I think this is what the teams are talking about now. Who do we want to lock in? Malphite was taken out, so now the Samurais will be deciding if it's going to be that, but they've left Twisted Fate slides.
Yeah, Varus and Zac does get selected. So Zac's first appearance in this series. We did see him in one game before, and I can't remember where the hell it is.
We've seen a couple of games. I think if I recall correctly, the Giants maybe even ran one during their series with a Kha'Zix and a Zac. And I remember it was the Bounce Bros. They were trying to get Let's Bounce and Leaps at the same time, but they simply couldn't get the resets. If this is going to be a TF Thresh, we may see a Fizz being locked in, but this is very interesting. Halfway through the picks and Twisted Fate still not even secured.
Rumble and Thresh, so taking Thresh away from Unlimited worked out very well for him in that first time around. I completely forgot about Thresh, the fact that he had snuck through. And Rumble this time around. Godbro's Rumble, what do we think of it?
It's
really
questionable.
Seen a great deal of it.
It's
yeah.
questionable. We've only seen it a handful of times over the course of the entire spring split, and it's not bad, but it's not as impactful as we've seen, for example, from Soaz or from Kevin. Those are game-changing rumbles. The problem with Godbro in my mind is that his equalizers don't tend to always hit the mark or don't tend to always be in exactly correct positioning. So we'll see whether or not he's been training this and just how effective he will be using those abilities.
Renekton for Young Buck. It's a champion he was famous for, and it's a champion that is normally being banned against him, but they felt it should get through, and now they're actually thinking, oh, damn it, we probably shouldn't have done that. So that means he's going to be Zac in the... Actually, I say this, might not be the jungler, because we've seen Zac in the middle.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, it was Extermin that ran it.
So we'll see if it is going to be thrown in the middle lane here for Extinct. It's definitely a possibility. It can work well. At the moment, with both Teleport and Ignite, it can work as well. You can use that Elastic Slingshot as your initiator as well as your escape. So it's definitely something that can work out. What I do like from Samurai and Jeanse is you've got a lot of damage from a lot of sources. AoE from Zac, you've got AoE from Varus, you've got AoE from Renekton. And if this Twitch gets locked in, this is going to be something new for the test, something that we haven't seen much, if any, at all during the spring split. And it's a pretty scary combo. The Death Sentence into that Venom Cask plus the Expunge damage, it's a powerful early game combo.
And more importantly as well, Bjergsen on Kha'Zix.
It's a good one. Bjergsen on any form of assassin, any form of high mechanic, high kill, carry type of champion is always terrifying. And we know that he can split push with Kha'Zix. It's something that he has done many, many times.
But you've got to give credit to Extinct. He's definitely met Bjergsen pace for pace so far in these matches. And it's looking like Karthus is maybe going to get selected. Yes, it's locked in there. So what do we make of these two team compositions?
Okay, so first and foremost, we're seeing something a little different from the Copenhagen Wolves, but with great synergy. If you have a Death Sentence into box, into Cataclysm with Equalizer down, that's an easy mode teamfight win because Kha'Zix and Twitch will just clean house. But it's very reliant on landing your abilities. Samurai and Jeanse, however, they're all about AoE. Renekton with his ultimate, Zac with his unstable matter, Defile from Karthus. And remember how they played with Karthus yesterday. They were patient, borderline boring, and waited for 20-25 minutes before they made a play. They wanted to get the items, and until they were comfortable to fight, they didn't fight.
So, if you've just tuned in, ladies and gentlemen, you've missed the first two matches of the Copenhagen Wolves versus Samurai and Jeanse. It is 1-1 all square right now, and the Copenhagen Wolves back on the blue side. Blue side's won both matches so far. Will it be 2-1 to the Copenhagen Wolves, like I mistakenly said at the start of the show?
Tom Cruise OP, he's the one that taught us this. An army of samurais are known as samurai, the plural. Regardless, we are into the game. Cotton-X will be running Zac in the jungle. It has been banned against the samurai in 3 previous fights, and this time round, he has got it in his hand. So let's see whether his flubber can affect this matchup.
Is there any going to be level 1 engages? Of course, Svenskeren is scouting out with that Damashian standard. The Crown Prince trying to see if he can force problems. Of course, when Svenskeren has had Jarvan, it's definitely been entertaining matches for Copenhagen Wolves in the LCS, and well, Jason can attest for that one. 7
games played, 5 victories, an average KDA of 5.3, and a never-ending stream of from JCap LOL. Right now, fairly defensive starts. You see Godbro, he's going to move himself towards this top lane, puts a ward down, and the pink ward battle has already begun. So that ward has been cleared out, and the Samurai and Jeanse have decided to do the lane swap. So they've sent Lulu and Varus to the top lane to try and deny Godbro's rumble.
Young Buck on the blue buff, just covering it off at the moment. It's not going to be starting there, of course. It's going to be over to the Wolves, which is going to get leashed out there. You see Cotton-X getting ready and waiting to go, stretching himself. If only everyone could be made of flubber. We kind of are, technically.
It's not as fun, because we can pick up bits of ourselves and get HP back. That would be a bit strange. Right now, the Copenhagen Wolves starting off those double golems, so they're going to have that level 2 advantage. And if a Death Sentence does manage to catch Young Buck, he could get decimated by that low-level damage on Twitch.
So it's going to be helping out on that blue buff. Next we'll be giving that one. Svenskeren's getting some help as well from the test, just driving by there. It's going to be Deficio that will lash out and help Svenskeren secure that red buff. We do see Unlimited coming around. He's going to try and get the ward in towards that Tri-Bush. Took a bit of harpoons for the pleasure of that one. It was Godbro that did that. Svenskeren was actually taken very low on that red buff there.
So we'll see how well he's able to gank. Still, he's saved his smite though, so he'll be able to clear out his jungle relatively effectively. Got a lot of potions in his back pocket. And in terms of that top lane, Godbro was in the tribush as the ward went down, so he would definitely have signaled to his teammates, look, they've got some vision, they know we're here, so give it 3 minutes before you roam around. Remember to time those wards as and when you see them, guys. So 1 minute 40 went down, it'll time out at 4 minutes 40, and you're allowed to gank after that.
Exactly. It's pretty much what they do. Sometimes they type it in the chat, sometimes they don't. We can't tell because we're not in the game. And we don't show the chat. There's a reason we don't show the chat, because sometimes
Tends to be colorful.
Sometimes there's colourful chat. Sometimes there's colourful chat. Sometimes there's nice chat.
It's oftentimes playful banter, but at the moment...
Oftentimes it's trolley.
Yeah. At the moment, you've got two very distinct different setups. You know, the kill potential from the Thresh and Twitch lane is going to be higher than that of Varus and Lulu, but the poke potential of Varus and Lulu will be a little bit harder hitting because of that percentage HP damage, as well as the range that Varus does have over Twitch.
So Freeze putting the pressure down, see whether he can do anything here. Svenskeren does come in, immediately takes an arrow in the knee, and then backs away. Hail of arrows does go across, and you can see the poke continuing.
Well, even with that arrow in the knee, Svenskeren will continue being an adventurer because he's still got those double buffs up, and will be able to start clearing out those wards. It's mostly just to farm up this XP and prevent the tower dive. Ideally, trying to clear this wave fairly quickly, but it's taking quite a long time, actually, between the two of them.
Yeah, that Demacia standard going down, it's not quite as bad as Lee Syndrome. It's like, I could go for it, I could Dragon Strike in for this, I'm not going to take it. Instead of the Q. But in the mid lane, we do see the exhaust on Bjergsen, and that should be enough to stop him pulling the damage down on Extinct. But that is a summoner spell already used up to keep him fended off.
Now, this is a lane matchup that was expected by Extinct. He knew that he was going to lose the lane. He picked Karthus into the Kha'Zix matchup for the 1v1 because he's hoping to win the team fights. We've seen a similar thing yesterday when I believe he was facing against like Diana, if my memory serves correctly. And he, you know, bounced back so incredibly well. The later the game went, he farmed up great, and he put himself in a very good position. The slingshot has been charged, and Cotnex just leaps into the minion wave.
No, just going to take the wave and take a bit of lane tax and back off. Picks up his flubber, leads the way. If only if I could lose some flubber like that.
If only we all. German beer is not good for you. Right now, though, it does look like Svenskeren's on the hunt, and we've seen him on his job, and he hasn't had as much of an impact as he'd like to. Not the same level that Cotnex had yesterday by 5 minutes, that's for sure. And of course, it is very early in the game, and some good pokes by Youngbuck, actually.
Yeah, he tried to get in, got a bit of poke on towards Deficio. Svenskeren is coming around to see whether they can put the pressure on this turret, maybe try and stack in on it, and maybe push it down. Youngbuck, I don't think is going to be able to do a great deal about this three-man pusher towards him, and he's got to be careful that Svenskeren doesn't go full-on aggression here. We do see, just coming off the side there, we're going to get a flobbery landing explosive. Oh, he got hooked in there. He managed to get flayed up there, and there's a lot of damage on towards Konex. Remember, he has got that passive, though, and he may get popped here.
He managed to pick up a little chunk of himself, giving himself some HP, and maybe surviving that true venom, deadly venom from Twitch. So he does get away with his life, but forced very, very low, and will need to recall and save his life. Now we'll see whether or not Youngbuck gets caught out. Fortitude of Elixir has been drank. He's expecting the dive.
That may well delay him for a various period of time now. There's the slow and the poison thrown on towards Youngbuck. They keep on beating on that turret. Sven's going on. The hook lands the game, but they're not going to be able to follow this one through.
The minion wave was dead, and Youngbuck did very well to move past the champions and clean out the minions. While the entire time that is happening, Youngbuck's pulled himself 5 CS ahead, and more importantly, Godbro's tower has taken an absolute beating.
And they're of course getting more experience because the fact there's 3 of them down that bottom wave trying to put pressure on the turret, and we can see that Cotnex is back in that tribush as well. He's going to launch himself back out again. Are they going to get in there though? The flay comes back out once again, just keeps them at bay. Yeah,
so that bottom tower has stayed alive, so that's the important thing to take note of. Early advantage to the Samurai and Jeanse. They're going to have this map present, and it does look like Unlimited. He really likes eating those harpoons.
Well, we've lost No-No. Maybe we're going to get an Unlimited. We'll see how it works out. 7.7k to 8.7k. Samurai and Jeanse with that 1,000 gold lead. Of course, that was picked up by that tower going down. CS advantage is building by Freeze, but he's going to be coming down towards his bottom lane now. Konex is still there, but you can see he's stood on top of that ward, so they know he's there. every time he just lingers around, which is why Svenskone is still down here. Svenskone's been there for a long period of time in that bottom, losing out the CS.
Yeah, and he's losing on the levels as well. He's only recently hit level 5. Zach is about a third of the way, almost halfway to level 6. So they're starting to balance out. In terms of numbers, we do see Copenhagen has a very small lead, very small advantage. You've got to remember that the percentage HP damage from Zach is always going to be more impactful than that of Jarvan, as Jarvan needs to land auto attacks to get his down. Zach simply needs to be in range for that unstable matter, his W. And take a short-range slingshot shot and land on the blue buff.
Yeah, it does look like the blue buff will be picked up. We see Extinct passing over there. He has hit level 6 as well. Yeah, it's going to be Youngbuck passing, going back towards the top lane. So he's going to be 1v1 up against Godbro. Godbro himself is actually in the mid lane right now. And now he's going to back off. Just came down to see if he could put his presence there. No, he's going to stick around for a little bit longer.
We'll see whether or not it actually makes any plays. At the moment, it's been a fairly passive start, a fairly slow start. Both of these teams just doing the best they can to farm up, and both of the duo laners are now facing up against one another. Right now, though, we still haven't seen the test going to back and pick up any items, so we'll see. Looks like he's delaying the spawn.
In terms of farming-wise, how do you counter it? Is Rumble being moved into this mid lane purposely to counter on Karthus?
So it's one of those setups where in this particular setup...
Oh, he's got 2 level difference.
I feel like Rumble is a little bit more afraid of Renekton. It's a matchup where Renektons can actually win out because of the dominance, because of the damage and the sustain they have. They've got that free damage dealer they can deal with the slice and dice, Cull the Meek, and the stun. So it is a matchup that, especially when you get the likes of a Hex Drinker, it's pretty much over for Rumble, and I feel that's why they're doing it. Kha'Zix would be able to insta-gib Karthus if they were 1v1 in mid, but it's more a matter of making sure Rumble doesn't fall further behind Renekton, I believe.
Yeah, and actually, he did stick around in that mid lane, got himself an extra level, so now he's actually up on levels with Youngbuck. So he's backing off and going to go towards that top lane. We do see Kha'Zix going down there. And now we Extinct, who has backed away, just comes back with that Tear of the Goddess. Chain of Corruption landing on towards the Testo here. And there's going to be the Karthus onto a barrier. He's going to run out before he goes down.
Wow.
But he survives with an absolute pixel of health there. I think it was Deficio, and maybe with that shield that saved him.
I believe he was on 4 hit points, and the shield from Barrier and Dark Passage just having enough between the two of them. I think you were right that the Barrier timed out, but the Test very lucky to get away with that one. And at this low level, that's a very high cooldown on Requiem. So successful survive there by the Test, but he shouldn't have been caught in the first place.
Was he in a safe place?
Safer place, not the safeness place. He wasn't the safenessest he could have been.
We'll see whether he can. we'll discover where that place is soon, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry. We'll track it down. Well, Bjergsen pushing in that mid lane, and he's going to keep on clearing those waves. Of course, he has evolved those voids. Well, actually, I haven't seen him. I'm assuming he's evolved the void spikes. We do see, of course, Deficio. There are the void spikes.
Yes.
Pretty much standard. You always evolve the W.
Yeah, it is a pretty common build-in when you think of the Kha'Zixes in just the way that they level up and the range, the damage, the poke that you can get from them. The moment we're actually seeing Bjergsen falling a little bit behind those CS numbers. It's not a big difference, but it is going to start to show and pay dividends. We did see yesterday that Extinct, he worked towards a Rod of Ages.
That's because he gave Rumble that period of time in that mid lane. He did actually back away from the lane, so he gave him a little bit of farm. Had to give up just a touch, but I'm pretty sure Bjergsen's going to easily catch that up because we see Kha'Zix's farms going into crazy numbers.
Yeah, it's one of the easier champions to farm with thanks to the range and those void spikes. And he's a lot of fun to play with, a lot of the splash damage. The one thing I do want to see is when these team fights do erupt, is just how quickly a Rumble Kha'Zix combo can burn through Renekton and Zach. Ignites are down, and here's a fight.
Well, he's going to be Youngbuck getting very aggressive. There's going to be the equalizer going down. And now he's actually turning around with that Flame Spitter overheated, and he's going to back away.
Such a great play from Youngbuck. He brute forced Godbro out of the lane, but a very, very good equalizer from Godbro to, effectively cull any aggression from Youngbuck. It slowed him down. He'd have to run down the entirety of the equalizer and forced him backwards.
You might say he was culling the Meek.
Might say that indeed.
Yeah, that is exactly what could be happening. Pink Ward, of course, clearing out that Tribush Ward, puts his own little ward in there because the pink will wear off in just a moment. That's going to give Copenhagen Wolves a little bit of goosebumps. They're not too clear on the vision right now of what could be coming towards them. We do see the fact that Konex is around that bottom area. He's going to launch himself in towards that bush, and is still so far unseen.
Now, Let's Bounce is available. We haven't seen Copenhagen bouncing anywhere on the map. And when you combine that in addition to the wild growth, the slow and the movement speed it'll hold will be very good. Now, they've caught Freeze, and if the Copenhagen Wolves jump into a fight here, Copenhagen will be reacting at a moment's notice. Requiem has just come off cooldown, so they're going to have that entire stack of abilities, and after that whole build-up, Copenhagen just walks into lane and says, "What's up, guys?"
Yeah, they backed away from that one. They've gone towards the golems. I don't think they're going to be able to hold off this wave that's coming in. They're going to maybe look to try and do it because they could have that ultimate coming in their way, and they are wisely staying a long distance from this fight. This just means it's going to be Samurai and Jeanse going 2-0 up in turrets here and building up a lead over the Copenhagen Wolves.
And this is the first time that we're seeing Svenskeren really falling a little bit behind in terms of his counter-ganking, counter-jungling possibilities. He needed to be present here. He needed to be in this lane at the moment that these guys rolled in to try and defend the tower. And not only have they made, you know, such a good play to take it down, they've denied that entire creep wave worth of gold, worth of experience. All of those minions have died to the tower. So it's definitely a big loss for the Test, who's already 20 CS behind.
Yeah, very well played there by the Samurai and Jeanse. Freeze unlimited, literally freezing the lane. Youngbuck is just clearing out that top wave. Godbro is keeping him pretty much pushed up against that tower. He's not too worried. He's got them warded in the tri-bush. He's got good coverage down the river from Bjergsen, so he's feeling fairly confident right now. And obviously the fact that Zach was down that bottom, he knew he was safe.
In addition, he's got his flash as well as his ultimate up and available. So if Youngbuck does dive onto him, he has ways to get away. And we'll see if he's going to go in. Actually, he burned his ignite there on Youngbuck. But Youngbuck still does have Dominus and the Requiem to join at any single time. So with this blue buff up for Extinct, expect that ultimate to be thrown out maybe a little more often.
Well, that flubbery joy of Zach is picking up the red buff. He's going to maybe pay a visit in towards the top, but Youngbuck does look like he was thinking of backing off, cancels it, stays around. There's going to be the smite going down, so Konex has just used that. Svenskeren, as is right now, does have his available. And we are at the 14-minute mark, and Dragon is still available. There is a pink ward on there from Samurai and Jeanse.
Oh, the
no
slingshot
vision whatsoever. Slingshot is going to go on towards Godbro. You can see straight away, Youngbuck actually didn't get the right slice and dice there. Couldn't close the gap on towards Godbro. Now we see Kha'Zix coming in. Youngbuck's in trouble. There's going to be the equalizer coming down. There's going to be Bjergsen using that ultimate to try and gain that speed. Does get first blood down. Now he's going to jump in towards it, but Konex launches himself away. It will give them the turret, and they're not going to be able to turn this one away, and that will be the first turret for the Copenhagen Wolves.
I talked about the equalizers from Godbro at the beginning of this matchup, and I take back what I said. The two equalizers we've seen him put down, first of all, were so great that saved him against Youngbuck, and the second time was along the exact escape route that Youngbuck would have needed to take. They pick up their first tower of the game, and first blood going over to Bjergsen's Kha'Zix.
Yeah, that may be a problem. He did pick up the Brutalizer, and he's actually going back on towards Konex. He's going to jump in there. He will put a big chunk of damage down. The voice spikes will land, and now that flubbery goodness, it's going to try and reform itself, but you got to feel Bjergsen's going to take this, no problem.
And he's just been able to pick himself up a red buff right now, so he's had that blue buff thanks to picking up a little earlier. With that red buff, he's just going to be even more powerful. First blood plus a second kill. He's going to go back to have a good chunk of change to spend.
Yeah, you got to wonder why he stuck around that little bit. They had no vision whatsoever of where Bjergsen was. They knew he was still missing on the map. Yeah, he's still
in the mid lane.
Forward. Yeah, I'm looking in the mid lane. I'm seeing the fact that he is closing the gap on towards Extinct, but he backs away, avoids the void spikes.
Look at the rest of the Wolves, though. They're positioning towards the Dragon. They know that. They've just taken Copenhagen out, so he'll just be respawning. It'll take a little while. Now, they stood right on top of a pink ward. Requiem is available, and you can see Carthus. He wants to come in. He's toying with the idea. Chain of Corruption is available, but wisely, the Samurai in Jeanse decide to back off because they simply cannot take on 5 members of the Wolves without Renekton.
Yeah, Copenhagen Wolves with that 1,000 gold lead. Not a dramatic amount right now at the 16-minute mark, closing in on. Rod of Ages being picked up by Extinct a while ago. That Tear of the Goddess, of course, being stacked up. And the pressure on towards his mid lane right now from Youngbuck as well as Extinct. They do have 3 members here now. It is only Svenskeren that's going to try and defend this one off. They might dive on towards him. Wall of Pain does catch on towards him as well as a lay waste. He's dodging around this one. He's just buying time, stopping them hitting that turret. Now the rest of the team coming. There goes the equalizer. Is it going to be enough to slow them down? You can see Bjergsen jumping in there. Does land the void spikes, but they're not going to be able to chase there. If the hook would have landed, almost certainly they would have gone in for it. Yeah, they definitely would have chased in if they could have followed up with the death sentence, secondary active, and then the box, but instead they back away. Equalizer was blown just to save the lane, just to save the tower, and with that first purchase, Bjergsen has picked himself up an instant Last Whisper. The hook so close to catching Freeze there, and they're desperately trying to defend this up. It looks like the Tess is deciding to back away, so he will be going back, spending some of his hard-earned cash, and we'll see whether or not... I've always wondered how this Insta can wield
the bow and arrow of the Lost Whisper.
They can carry many, many swords, don't worry. They all have multiple hands. It's when you see the AD carrier stacking 5 swords, he's just shooting those bloodthirsters at you. It's a pretty big bow. It's
pretty impressive, to be honest. Right now, we have a 5 versus 5. With the exception of Equalizer, everybody's ultimate is available, so they do have the option for a fight. In terms of initiation power, it's very similar from both of these teams in that Zach and Jarvan have the ability to dive into the middle of the team and deal a lot of damage, and you also want both Kha'Zix and Karthus in the middle of your opponent's team dealing damage. The difference will come in the Equalizer from Copenhagen Wolves. If they get a good Equalizer down, it's going to degrade a lot of movement speed and deal a lot of damage over time.
Well, Bjergsen is not there in the middle. It's a 4v5 at the moment. Samurai and Jeanse trying to push it down and actually unable to cause any problems for Copenhagen Wolves there. They've got very quick wave clear, of course, with their champions, and I'm not really sure how Samurai and Jeanse, whether they're actually going to be able to siege turrets if they need to try and do this. Even late game, I'm thinking if they even have a dominant position, it's going to be very hard for them to push in.
So remember, one of the things that does play into their favor is they're going to have the Glitter Lance and the Wall of Pain. So you're going to have that Wall of Pain in front of or behind a tower, and pretty much saying, look, you either walk through the slow and take a lot of my late waste poke, but look at the bounce.
There's going to be the bounce. You can't fool me with this Karthus malarkey. I've seen Alex hitch on Karthus, 27,000 ahead on CLG, and not able to push in on them. Well, maybe Anivia had a little bit to do with that one.
Now, as you're defending as Karthus, you've got one of the best wave clears. But when you're aggressing, when Samurai and Jeanse are pushing against Copenhagen Wolves, that's when they're going to be. That's how they're going to siege.
Yeah,
that's what they're going to
struggle. So they're going to rely on defending.
Well, we'll see how it pans out right now. Samurai and Jeanse have backed off a number of times. Varus didn't get in range at all of that mid-outer turret. And Copenhagen Wolves, they've just got this ever so slight 2,000 gold lead, and they're holding on to it.
Yeah, they are, and there's the wards going out now. And it's the Copenhagen Wolves that feel they have that advantage. Of course, they are 2-0 up. And now they're feeling that they can push in, but it's, as you mentioned, it's actually going to be very hard to push. But the fact that Karthus isn't there is going to give up the turret, and that is going to be the third outer turret going down. And the Copenhagen Wolves instantly put that ward down to keep vision on that spot. And a pink ward going down. Like, nope, not having that spot. These lane wards are becoming more and more important for the teams.
Yeah, a small misstep from Samurai and Jeanse means they give up their tower. And that lane ward that you were talking about, we've seen them doing many, many times before. If I recall correctly, the last time Bjergsen ran Needly, they had a couple of wards in and around the middle lane, and he was following it up with spear after spear. Well, there was a Needly player, I can't recall who it was, but yeah, we're seeing it more and more because you need to know where your opponents are, and you can't rely on your minions as the only form of vision.
Copenhagen Wolves are being pushed here and actually may give up their first turret here. The middle turret, sorry, not the first one. It is 2-2 in turrets, and you can see them jumping in here. Oh, that may be a mistake by Bjergsen. Tries to get out of it. He's going to get the box straight down. Is it going to be enough? Svenskeren goes jumping in. Cataclysm was there. And now Godbro, is it going to be the Requiem? It will take down Bjergsen. How many will it take down? No, he survived it. Oh, my word. I don't know how he managed to get through that one. And it is going to be a double kill. And that's 4 kills overall for the Copenhagen Wolves.
You taught me this yesterday. He started channeling it before he died. Extinct with a massive misstep. He starts channeling that before, and a knockup from Svenskeren comes in there and interrupted the Requiem. Extinct got made extinct and did not make Copenhagen Wolves extinct because Requiem did not get channeled.
What a play then by Svenskeren in that case. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And what a great fight by the Copenhagen Wolves. And look how quick you can wave that. That's why Kha'Zix gets such high CS. The fact that he jumps in and clears that wave out. But wow. A 4-0 there. That is not good news for the Samurai and Jeanse.
That could be the game-changing fight. That Requiem would have picked up 2 kills alone, pretty much guaranteed. And Extinct, unfortunately, just missed timing that. He thought he was dead. He didn't look if he had HP. Got knocked up and it got interrupted. A fantastic fight for the Wolves, which, to be frank, should not have been that one-sided.
No, that looked like it was actually more importantly going to be the Samurai and Jeanse that were going to take that fight. But didn't happen. And it was a 4-0. That's how important just one click of that keyboard can be. Now we're seeing actually Teleport coming back from Unlimited there. Well, he would have had a ward put on his face and a harpoon would almost certainly have followed.
Well, we'll see whether or not the Copenhagen Wolves can repeat that success, because when a Requiem does land, it is definitely going to shred their somewhat glass cannon builds. We do have the Hex Drink on Bjergsen, so of course that will help out in those insta-give situations. At the moment, there's not all that much MR, nor is there an Aegis of the Legion completed. Dragon has respawned, Copenhagen Wolves are grouped as 5, vision advantage, and this will be for free.
And this will be the gold, stretching to 6,000 now for the Copenhagen Wolves. So, they have the items time to stack out. Hexdrinker was bought by Bjergsen in that last back, and now he's waiting on Youngbuck. Oh, he sees Kotnex there as well, ping straight away. That means they know that there's 2 members in this top lane, and they're going to keep on pushing. We do see, of course, the Tess. He's off and down that bottom lane. He was getting some free farm going. He is still chasing farm on freeze with that advantage, and you can see Extinct. He's going to wipe out those waves, no problem. So, don't count Samurai and Jeanse out just yet. They have good wave clear. They have good defenses. And if the Copenhagen Wolves got a little carried away and overconfident, they could easily throw these fights.
Yeah, remember in a team fight, they've also got the ability to deal damage and sort of come back from beyond the grave. You're going to have Kotnex that could respawn in a fight. You're going to have Extinct that will continually deal damage even after he's gone down. And with Bjergsen just hitting level 16, he's now evolved his W, E, and R, as is customary on all Kazakhs.
Not customary anymore. The Chinese scene have actually changed. They evolved the Q
as well.
They evolved the Q instead now. It's something that they've been doing quite a bit of lately. If you want to check out the LPL, that is the Chinese version of the LCS, the Tencent LCS, and it is definitely interesting to see the fact that IG are top of that league, and World Elite actually slipped down to 4th place now.
Yeah, taking a number of losses to some of the newer teams on the block. Positive Energy and OMG, I believe, as well, and managed to take them down. So, the
OMG indeed.
dominant team is, suffering a little bit in this new best-of-1 format.
Speaking of suffering, Samurai and Jeanse, they are up against it right now. The Copenhagen Wolves, they won game 1. Samurai and Jeanse came back in fashion, and they did manage to take the second game, but unfortunately it is seeming to be the Shaggy Wolves jumping on towards Youngbuck, and he's going to get away with this one. And he has used that ultimate. Of course, he's going to get a 40% reduction. That Ignite is not going to do a great deal. He has managed to evolve that ultimate.
So Requiem was available, and in addition, Bjergsen had Hexdrinker. So Requiem may have thought about throwing that one down, but instead decided not to do it. So right now, we do see the rest of the Copenhagen Wolves now stacked up. Here comes Kotnex, and let's bounce!
There's going to be the equalizer, though. That's going to slow the rest of his team down. The Copenhagen Wolves are just going to walk away from this one. Godbro is lingering around there. There's going to be the Chain of Corruption on towards the Test. He backs away. The hook came out there. And I have been told that Ignite doesn't matter from that ultimate because, of course, it is true damage.
Yes, true damage, not mitigated by any of those defensive stats or things along those lines now.
I'm talking about Kazakh's ultimate, by the way. If anyone was just lost by my entire train of thought, because they just threw straight into it.
Wow, the Samurai and Jeanse tried to make a play happen, and Extinct's been caught out. They've dived onto him. The box is down.
And that's straight away Cataclysm pancaking him there. Unlimited is going to get down. Here comes the Requiem. That will take down Divicio. No, he got dropped before. Manages to get the double. There's going to be Lulu picking up a kill. Now they're chasing on Godbro. There's the bounce. They do manage to interrupt him. Turns around with the Flame Spinner. Can't get on towards him. And I don't think... Oh, he has! He's got the flash. I was about to say, I don't think he's going to be able to get away from this one. But you sure as hell he does. They didn't really know where Bjergsen was, so they couldn't pursue.
So 3 for 1 at the end of the day. Remember, that whole thing started after the Copenhagen Wolves fended off a 4 versus 5. I feel that they were feeling a little overconfident, and they stuck around longer than they should have. They did manage to get Extinct down, but miscalculated how much damage that Requiem was going to do. And the Samurai and Jeanse just pretty much steamrolled through them. So a good team fight for them. But there's still a sizable goal difference between these two teams. The Copenhagen Wolves are still in the driver's seat.
Yeah, while this is all happening, Bjergsen's happily walking around, farming everything in the jungle, and actually killing off anyone that approaches him in that top lane. 4-0-1, he's now completed and got that Black Cleaver. So he's got a hell of a lot of damage. Not a great deal of defense, but really when you're a fly, you don't need defense.
No, not at all, because of course he can't be swatted. He's the only fly that swats people, not the other way around right now. Running around the map, 4-0-1, 278 CS, 50 ahead of his lane counterpart. We haven't looked at the CS numbers in quite a while. It's remained fairly even across the board.
Well, Blue's trying to get stolen away there, but we do see Extinct coming in. They may well collapse on towards him. Extinct has to back away from that one. They have got the ward in place. The Tess is coming up there now. Remember, he has got Smite here, Svenskeren, so may use it just to make sure they secure it. And he does. Yeah,
so Smite used by Svenskeren. He's picked himself up blue buff. Gonna just be able to get more of those Damascene standards out, land more Cataclysms more often. And of course, we will be seeing most likely Bjergsen picking up his own blue buff, which he's been doing the majority of this game. Still no lifesteal picked up for him, so he's just gone straight for that armor penetration, a little bit of defense in that Hexdrinker, but even that's an aggressive defensive item.
Yeah, Zombies Hourglass sort of being built towards by Extinct, and of course, the fact that he hasn't got that blue, that means that Requiem's not going to come up any quicker. Bjergsen is still being a presence in that top lane, approaching 300 CS now and continuing that split push farm that the Samurai and Jeanse, they're actually kind of semi-ignoring. Youngbuck does keep going up there to deal with that wave.
They're afraid of
the fact, well, and rightly so, because he's actually almost got double the farm of Youngbuck right now, and those 4 kills compared to 0-3-0. There's not a lot that Youngbuck, even on Renekton, can do about him. He's 4 levels behind him.
There's nothing anybody on the Samurai and Jeanse team can do against Bjergsen. He's level 18 already. First level 18 by a long, long, long way. The highest level over on the Samurai and Jeanse is level 15 for Extinct, so he doesn't even have his 3rd rank of his ultimate yet. So that tells you how effective Bjergsen has been at the split pushing, at the CS, and of course picking up those kills. It's going to play into his favor. Right now we've seen that Copenhagen was trying to set up in and around Baron, put a couple of wards down, and they were thinking about it, but I think they would have seen some of the other promo games and realized, well, we don't want to throw this away.
Yeah, let's not take our advantage away on this Baron right now. Bjergsen did just go back, and now he's got that mirror mana on him as well. That's going to be more damage. He's going to be a scary, scary beastie, and it is going to be now the Baron they're heading towards. They feel they're strong enough. And
especially because of the fact that Extinct is now no longer there. He's just been revealed in that bottom wave, and the timing was perfect for Copenhagen Wolves. They were waiting for that very big minion wave to push on the bottom inhibitor, or bottom turret. Baron is down to half health. The rest of the Samurai and Jeanse are here. Here comes the Requiem, and wisely decided back away. But look at the change.
Chain of Corruption lands, and it's going to be Svenskeren sliding in. Youngbuck's going to be the focused target. And actually, Copenhagen Wolves were taken fairly low from that one. Of course, the Requiem hitting all of them. Piercing arrow goes on towards the Test. The Test did use spray and pray there as well. And now it's going to be Samurai and Jeanse pushing in towards his middle turret. They're going to be able to hit and run, take it away. Or are they? Equalizer comes across and really does slow the entire Samurai and Jeanse down. Look at that. Bjergsen wanted a piece of that. Immediately, you hear them blips going off. He's going to use the ultimate. He's going in towards Youngbuck, tries to back away. He's going to have that jump back up in a moment. It's Extinct that's going to get the wild growth on him, though. He is going to be doing a lot of damage down here. Konex is going to get dropped. He's going to be pointing towards that passive, but straight away, so is Extinct. Hasn't got Requiem available, remember. It's going to be Bjergsen jumping around, absolutely massacring the team. It is an ace for the Copenhagen Wolves, a 5-4-0.
That fight could not have gone better for the Copenhagen Wolves. They re-engaged after all the abilities were down. They picked their targets, and there was so much focus onto Bjergsen. Bjergsen hopped away. Then they tried to focus down the Test. Test wasn't in range. Then they tried to focus down Sven. And look at all of their HP bars. The Samurais in Jeanse simply couldn't get all the damage on the right target at the right time. It's cost them 2 turrets, an inhibitor, and an ace.
And that is going to be Copenhagen Wolves now picking up a fairly substantial lead. The fact that those super minions are spawning, they didn't go for Baron, of course. They could have gone for that, but there was no reason. They should take the inhibitor. That is the objective right now. Deficio does just see that ward as he's about to pass by. Now it's a 10 kill advantage, but more importantly, it's an 11,000 gold advantage for the Copenhagen Wolves. 6-0-3 on Bjergsen, 0-1-8 on the support as well. I've got to point that out, 1-1-9. The jungler, they're all doing their job right now, and it's working out. And, you know, they were banning out Renekton against Youngbuck, but they've managed to deal with it very well. He's 0-4-0 right now.
In terms of this particular matchup, we haven't seen Renekton being targeted from the Wolves to the Samurai and Jeanse, but the rest of the teams over the course of the weekend have, of course, been focusing it down. And to be very honest, it has not had any form of impact, because even though he was doing well against Rumble, Copenhagen Wolves just moved Rumble around as and where and when required, and then just said, Bjergsen, you go deal with him. We don't want to fight the crocodile. And he's been 1v1ing him all afternoon long.
Yeah, it's a horrible position for him to be in. The blue's going to get given to Bjergsen, or it's taken. It's not being given. He's taken it himself.
Mine.
Mine, indeed. And now they're back on towards the Baron, and this time, you know, it's Deficio with that Oracle. He's going to lash out a couple of those wards, and Samurai and Jeanse, they're going to be forced to either fight for this one or give it up.
So in terms of the build now coming out of Bjergsen, he's working towards that more of Mortius. He's got the pickaxe as well as a Hex Drinker. I imagine that's going to be his next focus. And I'd like to see what his last item's going to be, whether it's going to be the likes of a Warmog, Guardian Angel, maybe even a Bloodthirster if he's just going to go all in. The fact that he has no lifesteal means that in between fights, he needs to recall and heal up before they can pick more engagements. He can't go into the jungle and give himself a bunch of HP boost for the next fight.
They're baiting this one out. They have no intention of going for Baron right now, because you can see the Test, he's continuing to just shove that bottom lane. And all of Samurai and Jeanse are being forced to stay up there. Look at the top lane. You see Bjergsen in there. They're going to try and dive for this one, but they're not going to be able to catch him down there. Godbro and Svenskeren, very slippery champions, and now we see the Test starting to close in. Everybody is coming in from every angle in towards Samurai and Jeanse. They are going to have to back towards their Nexus turrets. There's no inhibitor to go to.
And remember that when you do have an inhibitor down, the rest of your lane's minions have that additional HP, so they're going to be naturally pushing the waves anyway. Copenhagen Wolves are just biding their time. They're playing the patient game, and they're waiting to catch people out. This is a four-man Wolves, and they've got him!
The hook comes in, and Limited's going to get taken down and popped just like that. There's the equalizer. He doesn't manage to catch on towards Extinct. We can see the Rat. He's sneaking up the bottom lane, and that was just walking straight in towards that one. They were ready and waiting. And the Copenhagen Wolves laid a perfect trap.
So very well played. I was wondering if Svenskeren was going to jump in with Cataclysm and try to set something up more, but I think once that equalizer whiffed, he decided against it and felt could have done better just to back away. So Unlimited's down. Wild Growth was not used in that engagement, and a five-man Wolf pack is stacking in this top lane to try and take down the second inhibitor turret.
Yeah, Extinct is going to be able to keep that wave at bay for a short period, but does he want to go in? Does he want to risk it? Because he will get dropped so quickly. And look at Youngbuck. Look how slow he went down there. Dominus was used, but he backs away from that one. There's going to be Chain of Corruption. He's not really going to do enough there. The test does get taken down. Extinct is still alive as well. There's a good fight currently for the Samurai and Jeanse. You can see Koinex trying to get in there. Has to use less bounce to try and escape. Wild Growth does come out just at the right time, and he is going to go down. The passive wasn't available. It was Deficio that picks up the kill here. Youngbuck has returned back from the fountain, and they do fend it off. It was a 1-for-1, a good exchange for Samurai and Jeanse.
Very well played. Literally all of that AoE destroyed the HP bar of the test, running through them, Renekton, Zac, and Karthus with all of that splash damage almost. While that was going on, that very big minion wave on the bottom lane was pushing up towards the tower, got a lot of damage down to it, but Extinct will be able to save it.
Just saves it just in time as well, because that nearly got cleared out. Remember, they've still not gone for Baron. Deficio is just kind of been baiting it with that Oracle. We do see pink wards coming out from Unlimited. He's actually taking down that ward. Svenskeren just backed away. Chose to just...
We held our breath there for a moment.
Gutsed it out there and absolutely made sure he got away. Still no pink wards though, so they can't clear out that death push, which you can see Deficio in. And he has got that Oracle on. So at the moment, Unlimited's are hurting for gold right now.
So Zac has been banned out against Koinex in the games 1 and 2. And in this third game, if you look at his items, he's sitting on nothing, to be honest. There's not a lot. He's trying to work towards that Sunfire Cape and has been trying to do so for the entirety of this matchup. But because of the presence that Copenhagen Wolves have had in and around the map, they've just been spending so much money on wards and on vision that he hasn't been able to complete anything bigger. The number of pink wards that Samurai and Jeanse have been putting down is a very, very big number. And you can see that right now as they have vision and they're not going to fall for the same trap second time in a row.
And if you think about it, they didn't actually give him chance at the start, really. Because every time Koinex came down for those ganks or to help out Youngbuck, Svenskeren was there. He was alongside his duo lane, so they were outnumbering him every single time. And obviously they tried to use that Requiem right at level 6, wasn't it? Just as he hit it, didn't work out for him, managed to get away with absolutely nothing in the test, so he survived on nothing. So there was a couple of moments that hinged on possibilities, but it is the Copenhagen Wolves going in towards the Baron. They have cleared out the vision of Samurai and Jeanse. They're going to have to get closer, and you can see that Wall of Pain already used up just to get focused. Koinex is going to launch in there. It's going to be too late. The hook actually comes in. They do count towards Lulu there. Deficio going very aggressive. Chain of Corruption is going to come out. Youngbuck's going to get focused, and look at Deficio. He's just absolutely delaying the whole team. Extinct uses that Zhonya's Hourglass very early on. Does manage to get hooked in there.
Wow.
Last and played down. He's going to be putting that Defile across everyone. Here comes the Requiem. It's not going to be enough, I feel. It does manage to get one kill. It was Deficio that he took down, but that is not a great deal. And Bjergsen, of course, picked up yet another. Unlimited gets away with nothing on his life. And now the Copenhagen Wolves, after a 3-for-1 and the Baron, are going to push straight in for the Nexus.
Deficio single-handedly won that team fight. He flew over the wall onto Unlimited. He walked in the middle of 4 members of Samurai and Jeanse. He put the box down and literally said, "You shall not pass. You will not fight the Copenhagen Wolves without me saying so," and then walked away like a boss. The Requiem picked him up at the end, but it's allowed his team to pick up this victory. They will take down the Nexus turrets. They will go 2-1 in the series, and now the Wolves have 2 match points.
Deficio doing his best Gandalf impression. Bjergsen picking up a kill on Unlimited. Didn't even see him. He was just caught under the feet. It is going to be the win. Copenhagen Wolves 2-1 here, and they take the lead once again in the series. Remember, this is a best of 5. It is not over yet, but that is just one step closer for the Copenhagen Wolves. We're going to go over to Joe Miller and Jason Kaplan to take us through that game, because Samurai and Jeanse, they seemed a little bit hesitant in what to do against Bjergsen's Kha'Zix. I expect to ban there next time.
Thanks a lot, guys. A very convincing performance coming out of the Copenhagen Wolves there, Jason. And now we all started with that first blood, a very late first blood, we have to say, actually, coming in first at 40 minutes into the game. It's been a while since we've seen one that late on it. But we can also, I think, expect it because of the high-pressure situation. We've already discussed all this anyway. But it didn't really slow down for the Wolves there. You know, they went 2 for 0 at the start, and then there was that big fight in middle.
Yeah, there was. And I was talking to you during this, Joe, and I'm like, why is Bjergsen so damn good at Snowball Champions? Because every time he plays one, he always does well, always carries the team on his back. You saw his Twisted Fate in Game 1. You saw his Kazakhs here, which he didn't die once. But that fight in middle, I mean, it was 2-0, just like you said. It was 1940 in, and the gold lead was only about 2,000 in favor of the Wolves, and yet this was like the big turning point. You heard Quickshot say it, like that fight right there just gave Wolves a huge advantage, and they used that to their ability. Well,
turning point would indicate that it kind of turned to the other team. It was more like a follow-on point, or a tipping point. I like that one.